Hello, youth. Hope you're doing well. This is your midweek encouragement. Now that we are just fully in the month of August, summer is winding down. It's coming to a close here. I hope you guys are able to get out and enjoy the last few weeks of summer here before school kicks up. In just a few weeks. We're going to jump right into the book of Proverbs, and then I got a couple notes about Sunday at the end. We're in Proverbs chapter 3, and we're going to be in verse 13 today. And this is called Blessings from Wisdom. And this week's lesson is partially like a reminder. The teacher and the author of Proverbs often goes back to this idea about wisdom, that it is highly valuable, and that in seeking it, this wisdom and this fear of the Lord and this idea, when we seek that concept, we will find that it produces blessings in our lives, generally speaking. And so this week is somewhat not really like new information. It's just a good reminder as the teacher transitions to a new section of the beginning of the book of Proverbs. And so we're going to read in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 13. It says, "Blessed is the one who finds wisdom and the one who gets understanding. For the gain from her is better than gain from silver, and her profit better than gold. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire can compare with her. Long life is in her right hand, and in her left hand are riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to those who lay hold of her. Those who hold fast are called blessed." And so we get this, first of all, it's this sandwich of blessing. It begins by saying, "Blessed is the one who finds wisdom," and it ends by saying, "Those who hold fast to her," her in this case being wisdom, "are blessed." And so the things that take place in between are going to tell us a little bit more about what this blessing is and what it looks like. And the one who finds wisdom is called blessed. And the gain a person gets, it says, is more precious than silver. It's more costly than gold. And this, we've talked about this, that this concept that wisdom is highly valuable. It is precious. This is not news to us and the reader of the book of Proverbs. We've talked about this before. But then they add to that wisdom, which again, here is personified as this woman, this lady wisdom, that this wisdom is greater than anything anybody could ever desire. And we have these desires as people on this earth, and wisdom is put up as chief above all things that we could possibly desire. And we're going to talk a little bit about why that is here in just a moment. I do believe that this desire is not just talking about any desire we have on a whim, but specifically the desires that could lead us away from wisdom. More on that in a moment. Wisdom gives something that money cannot. Because generally speaking, when we walk in good and godly wisdom, we find a long and fulfilled life as well as riches. Now I say generally speaking because remember the book of Proverbs is wisdom literature. And there have for sure been people who walked in godly wisdom and maybe found the end of their life and came to the end of their life much sooner than we would have expected. And so this is generally true. Proverbs is wisdom literature, and so it is generally true when a person seeks good and godly wisdom, it produces long life and can produce riches and honor. And this is said to highlight this idea that the desires, whatever these desires are, they will likely give you some sort of riches or some sort of honor, or they might give you some sort of feeling in life. But only true godly wisdom that is pursued gives you this experience that can result in both and result in a long life, but a long life that is experiences the blessings that pursuing God has for it. The way of wisdom is pleasant, and the paths of wisdom are paths of peace. So it's not just a long life. We've talked about this before, where if you have a long life but it's filled with turmoil and grief, it's not desirable. Rather, this long life is filled with ways that are pleasant. It's pleasing to the person. It's enjoyable to go through. and the paths that are found there are paths of peace. It's not full of turmoil and anger and disunity. They're paths of peace. And then we are given this statement, and I want to camp here for just a second. Proverbs 3:18 says, "She," that is Lady Wisdom, "is a tree of life to those who lay hold of her. Those who hold her fast are called blessed." And this idea of this tree of life, I think the author is trying to drag us back into the Garden of Eden, into this scene in the garden where God has planted the tree of life, and he says, "You go eat of it. You may eat of it, all that you want." And then there's also this other tree, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And it is only in not being content with the things that God had given them and not heeding the wisdom of God that the people decide, well, let's not just eat from the tree of life. Let's eat of this other tree as well. And that's why I said earlier, I believe that this desires that the author's talking about is not just like general. I think it's things that we desire that are not in line with the wisdom of God. And so I believe they're taking us back to this scene in the Garden of Eden to say when we pursue good and godly wisdom, the blessings that we receive, they're going to look a lot like the blessings that Adam and Eve experienced prior to the fall. That we get to dwell in the presence of our God, that we begin to experience the goodness that God has for us. And that, in some ways, is manifested in how those blessings come into our lives as we pursue the wisdom of God. And so, wisdom is a valuable thing. Blessed is the one who finds it. But not only that, as verse 18 says, blessed is the one who finds it and holds fast to it. It's one thing to find the wisdom of God and experience it. It's a different thing to hold fast to it. And that means that once you've experienced it, that you don't go seeking after some other foreign thing, that you cling to the wisdom of God, you grow in it, and you pursue it more and more as you grow in your faith. So I challenge you guys to do that, that you would take time, maybe whether in prayer, just think to yourself, like, what are the ways that God has allowed me to experience the blessings of his wisdom? And then I would, in finding those, just take time to just dwell on those and seek how you can return that and grow in that and spend time dwelling on the idea that God's wisdom can and often does bless our lives. This Sunday is our water war. Wear or bring clothes that you are comfortable with getting wet in. If you do not feel like getting wet, that's fine, but I would encourage you to participate. It's going to be a good time. I've got 1,200 plus water balloons like right up there ready for y'all, and we're going to have some soakers and sponges and some soap, and it's going to be a good time. So yeah, be here Sunday, bring a friend. Hope to see you guys soon. Yeah, love you guys. Take care.